Morning. Good morning. Sophia and I are here today again to talk about sexual abuse, childhood sexual abuse. And I want to talk about if you see something, say something. Back a few years ago, my husband Rick and I, we were walking in a park. And from a distance, I saw an elderly man walking with a pair of stilts. And there was a trail of little girls that were following him. And I got the sickest stomach you can imagine. And I just kept watching him as he walked along, kind of like the Pied Piper with all the little girls, all about the same age, maybe about 5. And he went into a shady area under a tree, and he got the stilts set up. And one by one, each little girl would take her turn to step up on these stilts that he brought. Now the next thing was what was bad. As he helped each child up onto the stilts, it was where he placed his hands on their front breasts and on their back, their butt, holding, rubbing, helping them move. And then the next little girl would go up. And I was just sick to my stomach watching him. And another mom, she came up to me and said, "Does that look okay to you?" And I said, "No." Mm-mm. And someone else came up and said, "Does that look right?" And we said, "No." Mm-mm. And I called the police, and they came, and he was taken away. And they later called me back and said, "You know where he worked? He works with children every day at a daycare center." And I thought, I wonder how many children that he has touched inappropriately throughout his life. Pedophiles usually have a certain age that they are attracted to. I know with my dad, when I turned 10, there wasn't any more touch that I could remember. But from age 10 to 18, there was sexual abuse with no touching. Every day. Him parading around, doing his thing. And it's important that we are watching over our children and other people's children to make sure that sexual abuse isn't happening to our precious kids. So if you see something, you gotta say something. I know I went back to a relative once I had all my memories, and he said to me, "You know, your father loved you so much." And then he says, "But don't ever tell your dad this, but there was something kind of weird about his love for you." And back in the 50s, 60s, people just didn't know that much about it. They didn't talk about it. But I wish someone would have said something when I was a little girl. But that's over, and we can do something now. So it's important to remember that. Right? So the other thing I wanted to tell you about was, you know how I talk about God speaks to us and his miracles? Well, yesterday I thought of 2 miracles. And I was in a church Pastor Mark's church, and I was a prayer minister with my husband and several others. And at the end of the service, we stand there. If someone needs prayer, then they would come up. And I waited. Nobody came up. And God said to me, I want you to go out into the audience, and the woman with the purple blouse, go up to her and tell her, you need to come up here for prayer. And I thought, oh, okay. Wow, what if I go in the audience? And she said, no, I'm not going up for prayer. But I thought, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. So I stepped off the stage and I walked down to my left and I walked over to her, and she saw me coming and she was like really staring at me, and her eyes were big and her mouth was open. And I said to her, God told me you're supposed to go up there for prayer. And she said, I told God, if you want me to go up there, you send somebody down to get me. And that was great. I just loved that. So be obedient. God speaks to us all the time. And just do whatever it is that he wants. And so for me, I was blessed. That was a miracle. And for her, she was blessed, and she did go up for prayer to somebody. And but I thought of that yesterday and wanted to share that with you. So in one of the next videos, I'm going to talk about something that I've kind of put off because it's hard to talk about. And that, I talk all the time about how God talks to us. But you know who else talks to us? Satan. And the first time I heard his voice was when he told me to commit suicide. Maybe the next video will be about that. That's a real hard one to talk about. Brings back really, really bad memories. So pray for me that I have the courage to bring that up. But I hope you have a great day. I hope you're blessed. And just look for God in your day. Ask him for miracles. And he will. He'll show you. So we'll catch you next time. Bye-bye.